Dead-End Street by Slobodan Radojev Mitrich. Chapter 3. Fox. Directly behind Amsterdam's Royal Theatre Carré on the newer Prinsengracht, the famous Dutch actress Tajera bought a house a long time ago. The delegate of the Dutch Liberal Party, Aisha, presses the bell. The door opens automatically. The newcomer lifts her trolley, steps into the hallway and puts her suitcase on the floor. The lady of the house hastens to greet her. The two embrace and kiss each other. The guest takes off her coat. The hostess hangs it on the peg and points to the entrance of the salon. "Welcome." "Thank you." On entering the room, the newcomer looks curiously around the richly furnished room. While turning around, she comes closer to an oil painting. It is a nude portrait of the hostess. She pouts her lips and nods approvingly. "Divine. I was a little younger then," said the hostess, as if to justify that she has now grown older. "I wouldn't say that. I don't see the difference. But I notice the difference though. The painting is already 5 years and I'm now also 5 pounds heavier." The newcomer smiles. "In my own country it would be impossible to have oneself portrayed in one's birthday suit." "Somalia. Yes, but here it can be done now." "Absolutely not. The Muslims would murder me." "Primitives." The guest lets her gaze move around. "My God, what a beautiful living room you have. Just like in a fairy tale." The compliment touches the hostess. She points to a ottoman covered with striking leopard skin. "Glad you like it. Please, sit down." Aisha sits down and crosses her legs. "Ho says I need your advice." The professional actress nods. She points to the mobile bar filled with familiar beverages. "Would you like something to drink?" Aisha looks closely to the drinks. She would like some sherry, but soon concludes that it is not wise to drink before the work is done. "Do you have coffee?" "Of course." Tajera sits down opposite her guest. "I read the whole script." "Did you write it yourself?" Quote, "Yes, it's great. Thank you." The actress smiles. "Autobiographical?" "Yes, completely." Aisha blushes. "Yeah, Ho showed me the material that you've already filmed." "You don't like it?" Tajera stands up. "To be honest, I don't say this because you're my guest, I mean it. You need no coaching, you're a born actress." "You're kidding." "It's the truth. If I were a man I'd fall right way in love with such a beautiful woman. You've charmed me." Aisha blushes again. "Thank you." But Theo finds. Tajera interrupts her. Ho is splitting hairs. Aisha smiles. "It is my intention." Tajera finishes her sentence. "It is your intention to act?" "Yes, that's no problem. You just relax and speak the text as you experience it. Without acting, of course. That's the essence of acting. I don't understand. An actress must ensure that what she shows to the viewer looks real. In your case it's not so difficult. You've actually experienced it all. So, I tell what really happened to me. Eureka!" Aisha straightens her legs and gesticulates. "The problem is that I'm nervous in front of the camera." Tajera stands up and walks over to her. She stretches her hands out to Aisha and grabs them. "But there's no camera here. Come, get up and change your clothes. And tell me everything as if it just happened." "Here? In the living room?" "Yes. Why, you're here anyway, isn't it?" "That's right. I'll let you alone for a moment, then you can change clothes." "Okay." Aisha rushes to the hallway, grabs her trolley and takes it back into the living room. The hostess walks up the stairs to the first floor where the bedrooms are located. After a while Tajera comes back to the living room. Aisha, dressed in a transparent silk burqa, her head covered by a niqab, stands in the middle of the room. The small carpet is on the floor in front of her. Tajera turns on a great light. Aisha gestures with her hands. "Why so much light? It should look just like in the movie." "Okay." Tajera picks up the script and a whip. "This is what I need." "You're not going to flog me," said the MP, surprised. That depends. H. The hostess sits down in an armchair in the corner of the living room near one of the windows. I'm just kidding. I told you it should look a scene in the movie. I read the text and occasionally I slash with the whip in the air. Do you understand? Aisha smiles. H. That is why you need the whip. Are you ready? Yes, come on. The actress says sternly. I want to hear the whole story, Rackman, without any interruptions. Can you do that? Yes, I can. Concentrate, and when I slap, you start. Agreed. Agreed. Tajero examines the body of the Member of Parliament. Their eyes meet through the narrow opening of the niqab. She looks at her almost lustfully. Aisha senses it but pretends she does not notice it. Tajero claps her hands. Bang. Aisha looks in her direction. 2 years ago, on a sunny day at the market. My eyes crossed with those of Rackman. The most beautiful man I've ever seen. Her glance shifts from left to right and then she continues. After that day every time he fell for me. When I went to the market, I was thrilled when I found out he was not there by chance. One day he suggested to meet in secret. I said yes. The hostess shifts slightly. She devours her guest with her eyes. Aisha continues. The days passed. Our relationship became ever closer. A new life arose in me, proof of our love. But our happiness did not go unnoticed, and it was not long before jealous tongues started to speak evil. Let's ignore them and trust Allah's mercy, said Rackman and I. I was naive, young and in love. Tajera shifts again. Aisha raises her arms and looks up. But we thought that your holiness stood on our side. Rackman and I shared love and trust, and a deep respect for each other. Aisha looks at Tajera. Why would Allah be against us? Why would he reject it? The hostess puts her thumbs up and stands up. Fantastic. The MP smiles sweetly. You're kidding. Tajera walks up to her and puts her hands on her face. She looks at her for a long while. Really? You're a genius. Thank you. The hostess walks back to her up place. And now the good news of your father. Good news. Good news in quotes, of course. Do you understand? H. Ready. Aisha nods and spreads her arms. One day, when I was 16, my father told the news in the kitchen. You will marry Aziz, he said. Ziz comes from a devout family and will take good care of you. Aisha clenches her fists against her chest and, as if shaking water from her hands, lets them fall by her side. She frowns and continues. My wedding was more of a celebration for my family than for me. Then she puts her head in her hands. And so, disappointed and hurt to the bone, my husband approaches me on our wedding night. And he takes me. Since then I shrink back for his touch. She squeezes her nose hair with her index finger and thumb. I hate his odor. Even when he just washed. Aisha looks up. And yet, Allah, I obey his demands as your words endorse. I protested only once when he wanted to take me. Those were the days that I was bleeding. That day when I pushed him away, he quoted verses from the Quran. Women should be obedient, but Almighty Allah, my husband has no idea what that is. Menstruation. Please. Tell him that it is harmful, haram, unhealthy. Stay away from women during menstruation until they are clean. The Member of Parliament looks at her hostess again. And only when they have cleansed themselves are you allowed to approach them in the manner, time and place that Allah approved. For Allah loves those who turn to him. He loves those who keep themselves pure and clean. Tajera nods. Aisha raises her arms and looks up. H. Allah the Most High, you say that men are the guardians of women, because you have given them more power. I feel the power of my man's fist on my face at least once a week. Aisha crosses her arms in front of her and rests her head on her shoulder. H. Allah the Most High, living with my husband is heavy, but I submit myself to you. My husband keeps me and therefore I obey him committed. And I guard in his absence what you want me to guard. She spreads her arms and continues, but my husband, brother and protector, fears betrayal and misconduct on my part. He accuses me of ingratitude. He will always find a reason to doubt my loyalty to him. And after a series of threats and warnings he starts to hit me. She raises her fists to her head. Allah, most gracious, most merciful, as you require from the believing woman, I lower my eyes and I'm humble. And believe me, you see that anyway. I never show my beauty, not even my face and hands. I never stomp my feet to attract attention. Not even at parties. I leave the house only when it's absolutely necessary. And only after my father's permission. When I go out, I cover my body like you want. Ish looks towards Tajera. Occasionally I sin. I fantasize that I feel the wind in my hair, or how the sun warms my skin on the beach. Then I daydream about a trip around the world and then I see all those places and people. Of course, I will never see those places and never meet those people. She looks up. Because it is so important to be humble to please you, Allah. The hostess again lifts her thumbs up and stands up. Awesome. Aisha spreads her arms. I'm not ready yet. Tajera runs and hugs her. I know. You need to catch your breath. We'll continue a little later. Aisha sits down on the ottoman. Sorry. I have to go to where the queen also sometimes needs to go. HHH. Tajera walks out of the living room again up the stairs to the first floor where the bedrooms are. After a few minutes she comes back. We continue. Okay, Aisha does not mind. But of course, the hostess walks back to her place and picks up the script. Do only that last scene again. Which one? Where you tells how the wind blows through your hair. And then of course the whole scene with your, in quotation marks, dear uncle. Aisha frowns. I get the creeps when I think of him. Try to keep the feeling when you play the scene. Ready? Aisha stands in the middle of the room and looks at Tajera. Yes, yes. Tajera claps her hands. Bang. Occasionally I fantasize that I feel the wind in my hair. Or how the sun warms my skin on the beach. Then I daydream about a trip around the world and I see all those places and people. Of course I will never see those places and never meet those people. She looks up. Because it is so important to be humble to please you, Allah. So I cheerfully do what you are saying and I cover my body from head to toe. I am humble, always, wherever I go. Except at home with my family. On the whole, I am happy with my life. Aisha looks at Tajera again. But something changed since my father's brother, Hakim, stays with us. He waits until I'm home alone and then comes to my room. Aisha smiles. And then, Aisha do things for him. I have to touch him on the most intimate parts. Tajera shifts again. And Aisha continues, since he is there, I also wear a veil at home, to discourage him, but that does not stop him. He has already torn my clothes twice. And raped me, yes, Tajera bites her lip. Aisha continues, and when I, told my mom she promised that she would discuss it with my father. Aisha spreads her arms and frowns. But my father commanded us not to doubt the honor of his brother. Quote. She shrugs and continues. What can I do? Every time my uncle comes to me, I feel hurt. I feel like a lamb led to the slaughter. I feel guilty and ashamed. I feel alone. Even though I am surrounded by family and friends, Aisha raises her hands and looks upwards. Allah, She falls to the ground, writhing and crying. After a brief hesitation, Tajera walks up to her and kneels beside her. With both hands she covers her tearful face. Carefully she removes the niqab off. softly presses her against her breast and strokes her hair. Aisha looks up. Silently they look at each other. Tajera squeezes her gently with one hand, while with her other hand slowly sliding down the hair along Aisha's neck, only to disappear under the transparent robe and to stop at the breasts of the young Somali. She answers the embrace and their warm lips meet. In the bedroom on the first floor, Theo press a button. All hidden cameras in the living room stop filming. ****.